Hi, Dianna Effner in the studio. I'm not doing a demo, I'm doing an experiment, and I just thought I would share a little bit of that. I've said many times that every time I paint with these new paints, I am experimenting, because every time I do it, I have to make a lot of decisions about should I try a different technique? Should I try a different color? I'm always mixing colors to try to get the right blend for the flesh tones, and each situation requires a little different approach, and every time I have to decide what to do, I have to make a decision. And in this situation, I had a head that had been fired, and I treated it with the glaze, with the restoration glaze, but I had a hands and shoulder plate, I should say, that had been painted with my flesh tone China paints a long time ago, and I don't know what color they were painted with, so I was just going to try to get closer to that color with the Jo Sonja's paints. So I started mixing, and I thought, when I looked at the difference between the porcelain and the painted hand, what I saw is it was mainly burnt sienna, a reddish brown, but burnt sienna is too red. This is a little more brownish. So to tone down the red, I added a little Payne's gray. And then I looked at that, and it seemed to me that it needed a little bit more of a golden tone in it, so I tried a little moss green, which made it kind of light and maybe a little, I don't know, it wasn't quite right. I added a touch of plum pink, but it seemed like it still needed a little more gold, so I added some raw sienna. And then I said, no, it's not quite brown enough, so I went ahead and added some burnt umber. And I'm not telling you that this is what you should try. I'm just saying that we're all in this together, and let's challenge ourselves to experiment. So here's the color I mixed up, and I can always add more layers, which is what I will do, but you need to water that down. I need to water that down a lot, because I just want to tint the porcelain. I don't want to stain it, I just want a light tint. So the way I applied it was I just worked in one small area at a time. So I'm going to start. I've already done this ear, this part of the face, down to the chin, and I haven't done this side yet. So I'm going to start with the eye. I don't know if I think I need a little more color in that. And I'm going to use a dry mop to blend the color so it doesn't have a chance to make a puddle and a stain that I don't want. So I'm just going to continue to apply the paint with these two mops till I cover the whole face, doing a section at a time. And I'll be back with another phase of the experiment. Okay, I'm back with another color that I've used in the past for these kind of projects. This is, I call the Crease Color. I'm going to keep my flesh tone color covered in case I want to add more layers with that. later on, but I've got this color. It's very dark purplish color that I'm going to use for the creases. And what I did was I actually started with purple matter, but I ended up using mostly burnt umber with a touch of purple matter and some carbon black to get this color. And I just kept adjusting the color until it looked like something like what I want. And I'm going to water it down, and I'm using a liner to put some detail in the lines around the eyes and other places on the face. I'm gonna come in with the blender, soften it, and then I'll probably go over some of these with a little bit more concentrated mixture of the color. I'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to continue with this brush and this technique, and I'll be back to show you how it's going. This is before. I've just started the crease color, and I'll show you after when I get done with that step. Okay, here it is after doing the creases with the crease color. And I also did the hands, some detailing on the hands. And I will say that the creases look a lot darker on my monitor than they do in real life. In real life, it's more subtle. It changes the color scheme, but it's not very pronounced. So I'm gonna think about what to do next. Before I do the eyes or start with the cheek blush and the reddish colors, I wanted to give my elf a little more of a golden glow. So I started with some raw sienna, and I tried to tone it down with a little bit of purple matter, but that was too orange, and I ended up with mostly raw sienna and a very, very small amount of the purple matter. And then I put a little bit of moss green in that. So I'm just going to try applying this with a sponge technique, makeup sponge. I'm going to put some water in an area on the sponge so it's not too dry when I put on the color, so the color will kind of have fuzzy edges. And then I'll just go around different areas and add some of that golden color. Especially in the highlighted areas. Don't need to go way down into the creases with this color because it's a kind of a highlight color. So I'll be back. After going over the larger areas with the sponge, I did come back and use my small and medium mops for putting some of this color into some of the recessed areas, and then brushing it out. Okay, now what to do next? I've decided to do the first blush, cheek blush layer. I'm going to blush the cheeks and a little bit the nostrils, a little bit across the nose, a little bit on the forehead and the ears. And the first blush will be my standard peach tone flush, which is 2 parts moss green and 1 part plum pink. And that's what I have mixed up here. And I'm going to use a combination of the sponge and the mop technique. And just keeping it to the blush areas, not the whole head. So I'll be back after I do that. For the next layer, I want to do a little more serious blush color and lip color, starting with the lips, and then I'm going to add some of this color, and I call it blood red, and I use the brown matter, which is really a pretty bright red, toned down with some carbon black. And then when you dilute it a lot, you get a pretty soft red. And I'm going to start with the lips. Very thin layer. I don't want red lips. I want soft rose-colored lips. So I'm watering it down a lot, and then I will add some blush to the ears and the nose and the cheeks, and maybe just a touch here and there on the other parts of the face, because you have to kind of even it out so that the most intense color is in the cheeks, but there's a little bit of that glow on the rest of the face. Here he is with the peachy blush. Okay. Okay, I've been applying the blood red blush, repeating in places where I want the most color, but also touching other places using the sponge. Applying the paint, the watered down paint, and then blotting, and then also using the mop in areas for more detail. See, I did the lips, but they're kind of light. I'm gonna go over them again with another layer. But you see how that red color collects in the crease, so that it deepens the crease and gives it the mouth more color along the smile line. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of shading and contouring on the mouth. For the corners of the mouth, this is what I often do. I took some of my blood red and I added just a little bit of Payne's Gray to make a shadow color, and it always turns out to be kind of a pretty mauve-y color, maybe. Hang on. Change my glasses. Starting in the corner. Blender. blender. Keep darkening the deepest area. And now here is some watered down Payne's Gray, which is really blue. I'm going to see if I can start to paint the colored part of the eye. This light blue. Light because it's watered down. I think that needs to be watered down a little bit more to do any contouring. Oop, there's some medium in there. I'm going to water this down a little bit more and put a little bit of contouring in here. I better let that dry. Oh, here's my notes. Lip contours, blood red plus Payne's Gray. I'm going to add a final touch of intensity to the cheeks and the nose and the tops of the ears by just adding purple matter, which is an insanely intense color all by itself. I think I need to maybe water down a little more. Let's see. Let's wet the sponge a little bit. Up. Okay, I just blotted it a little bit on the towel. Yikes, I don't know. That's pretty bright. I don't know, let's see what happens. I'll start with the back of the ear. Since it's watered down so much, it just adds a pretty pink color. Okay. Okay, I've finished the eyes and the eyebrows. There's very little painting to be done on the eyes, and it's not really what I would call experimental. It's just basic painting. I did a light wash of blue, and then I added the pupil, and then I did some detailing with a darker mixture of the Payne's Gray. I call it blue. It is blue, but it's called Payne's Gray. And then I just did some eyebrow strokes like my usual, but not very much. And I mixed black with some burnt sienna and a little bit of fawn to make sort of a grayed down, slightly brownish color. The black has the intensity to make it possible to do fine lines, and I use this fine liner and just the usual technique that I use for eyebrows. I did the highlight brows with smoked pearl. I don't know why, but smoked pearl, I mean, the elf is going to have white hair, so we want him to have just light eyebrows. For some reason, the smoked pearl seems to make a fine line and show up better against the flesh than the titanium white. So I don't use titanium white as a rule. I use the smoked pearl instead. Even though it's not as light, for some reason it shows up better. So anyway, that's my experimental painting of the Christmas Elf with Jo Sonia's paints. Thanks for watching.